Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Will with Schedulefly, and today I'm really excited to have Adam Gaynor on the phone. Adam is a general manager at Melfi's in Charleston, South Carolina. It's part of a really just awesome group of restaurants, and Melfi's is actually new. They're on week 8, so they opened middle of August, and which means that Adam's got his hands full for sure, and I can't wait to hear more about it. But that means he's very kind to take some time out of his day to do this. So, Adam, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do it.
All right, man. Well, I want to hear about Melfi's, but I also want to hear I always like to ask people kind of get started. Tell me how and when you got into hospitality initially.
That was 2 weeks before my 16th birthday.
Okay, awesome.
I'm I guess 30 now, so about good 14 years, and I was looking for my first job and found Hyman Seafood, which is one of the probably most touristy fried seafood type restaurants you could ever imagine to be in Charleston. It's like a 8-foot billboard when you walk into the Charleston airport saying, everybody come to Hyman's. And so it was quite the animal, quite the beast of a restaurant. And I started there as a busboy and a food runner, and kind of worked every position up until I was about 21, and I started majoring in hospitality and tourism at the College of Charleston here, and kind of knew it was the direction I wanted to take. I saw how the owners were so excited to go around to all the tables and just greet everybody, and just really kind of caught the bug, if you will, and got an internship with the Maverick Southern Kitchens Group. At the time they owned High Cotton and Old Village Post House and slightly north of Broad, which are some fantastic local restaurants now owned by the Halls Group. And learned a lot from them, a little bit more fine dining spectrum and kind of the more administrative side of things. And then out of college, started working with the same company that I'm with now. So I've been with them for about 9 years now, and just started managing when I was 23 after a couple of years of bartending, and have been moving around in and out of their restaurants. And it's been really nice to have the ability to do that, because it definitely gives you kind of a fresh scene and fresh people and different menu and building, and keeps it fresh. So it's been a nice journey with this company, and it's been fun.
That's cool, man. So you went to college for this, so you knew early on. What about hospitality got you excited? Like, what do you love most about it?
Really just meeting a lot of new people every day and being on my feet. Definitely the type of personality that can't sit behind a desk. If I did, I'd probably have one of those, under the desk bicycle things or something like that. But it's just making people happy and seeing a lot of smiling faces and being around food and wine and beer and cocktails, and it's just a really fun environment to be around to call your job.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. And you've done a lot of different things within the industry now. Well, okay, so I want to talk about Melfi's, but talk a little bit about the hospitality scene in Charleston. I mean, you guys have just got restaurant after restaurant of just amazing things going on down there. So
definitely, it's a lot of competition. It's quite the saturated market, I would say, at this point, which is a little unfortunate, but it doesn't really let a bad restaurant survive, which is also kind of cool in its own way. But we do, and we see a lot of shortages in staff, especially in the kitchens. With the amount of restaurants that are open in this town, it's pretty tough to keep a good staff. So you really have to figure out ways to kind of set yourself above regarding your staff culture and what you're offering your employees, and whether that be healthcare or just a positive work environment or good pay. It can be a number of things that really distribute to keeping staff, but it's become quite difficult now. Charleston's growing immensely. I think there's I don't know what the statistic is, maybe 50 people a day moving to this city. And so it's people got to eat, and there's plenty of places for them to choose, and we're happy if they choose us. But it's definitely a very saturated market in Charleston right now.
So, okay, so I want to talk about that. So, keeping staff and stuff. You mentioned, good benefits, healthcare, things like that, good pay. I mean, you can do that to a point,
Sure.
but you have to also run a profitable business. So you know what your numbers are and how much you can offer. But then how much of it is nowadays is becoming, and you touched on this, but I'm just curious, it's got to be a lot of the culture, the leadership, the environment. I mean, because if people that are chasing higher pay will just keep moving around and around, eventually that's not the kind of folks you really want. You want folks that, want to be paid fairly, but a lot of it's got to be the culture you create now, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, totally easier said than done. With that, it's, those particular individuals are few and far between and tough to find. And, you of course want to find those people that want to learn and grow and, don't really care what they're being paid and, more so want to do it for the knowledge and the love of it. But that's not really the reality. And, for a lot of people, it's, I've always kind of referred to the restaurant industry for a lot of people as kind of a gateway drug to bigger and better things in their own life, whether it be just a job in college or something to, just bring home a paycheck until they can use their degree for something more. But it is definitely has a lot to do with the culture and leadership. And, when we opened Melfi's, and really it's kind of a trend within our company, is that we want to create an environment where we do have the resources for people to learn. We're doing, staff education for, wine and for our kitchen staff. If they're, if we can tell that they're wanting to know more, then we want to make sure that we're taking the time to educate them in a positive environment and keep them growing and keep showing them how much we appreciate them. And I think that's a lot of times what people are seeking, is just being appreciated, being heard when they want to be heard, and making sure that they're in a good place, in a good environment. There's a lot of people out there that just open a restaurant because they have the money to do it, and just don't really know what they're doing. So like you said, it's got to be a business, it's got to be profitable, and there's a lot of chefs out there that also don't necessarily have the right attitude when it comes to wanting to teach and train and educate, and I can guarantee you not a single one of them enjoys the situation that Charleston is in right now regarding staffing, especially in the kitchens. But it's kind of a constant battle of always hiring, always firing, based on a lot of attendance issues and different things. But it's a beast of a town when it comes to the restaurant scene, that's for sure.
Well, okay, so you said there's chefs out there that aren't into the education, but why is that?
I don't know. I think a lot of them do it because it's like the next step, maybe. Maybe it's, I don't want to speak out of experience or anything like that. I've always been a front of house guy. I always say that I took the easy way out. I love food. I love cooking. But it's a very stressful lifestyle, and I have a lot of respect for a lot of the chefs in town. And, I see, you can tell which chefs in which restaurants, are willing to take the time to be in the kitchen and, help their staff and train their staff. And, unfortunately you hear, stories here and there of other chefs that, are kind of more arrogant or more, angry towards their staff, or I think that's hopefully a dying breed of chef, but certainly still in existence.
Yeah, that's not real sustainable these days, is it?
Definitely not.
Okay, so Charleston is like you said, highly competitive, which keeps you all on your toes. I know. I mean, it winds up creating just incredible places, so it's great for the consumer.
Absolutely.
Tell me about Melfi's. What's the story behind Melfi's?
Sure. So Melfi's is in the building that it's in the 30s and 40s was a pharmacy called Melfi's Drugs, and it was pretty cool when we were breaking ground on the building. Found a bunch of old medicine bottles that were really old, and on the outside of the building you can actually see like the old lettering on the bricks that say drugs down the bricks. And we got to keep some of the old original ceiling tile, and we actually found the family, the Melfi family. They still live in town, and they were nice enough to give us a little copy of their family coat of arms and their letterhead, and we're really pleasantly surprised that we were kind of keeping the name going. But Melfi cool. is also a very Italian name, and we are an Italian restaurant, so it was suiting. Ironically, also the I believe it's the psychiatrist in The Sopranos was Dr. Melfi. That was just more irony than influence.
Cool. Yeah.
But so we do kind of Romanish style pizza, but that's pretty small portion of our menu. We're full service Italian, upscale, and kind of a very, very like tall ceiling. It feels very New York and very hip inside the dining room. It's a fun, like classy joint that isn't really stuffy or kind of too over the top.
Gotcha. And you guys, so within your group, how many restaurants are there within the group?
Currently there's 3. So we have Little Jack's Tavern, which is kind of a dark, sexy American tavern on the smaller side. They actually won Best Burger of the Year a couple years ago.
Nice.
At the South Beach Wine and Food Festival. And I've gotten a lot of press for that amazing little burger. And then we have Leon's Oyster Shop. They specialize in fried chicken and oysters and have a wonderful champagne list to go along with both of those items. It's a fantastic combination. If you've never had fried chicken and champagne, highly recommend it. And then we have us, and we're the newest addition. Okay,
gotcha. So you're new now. Your restaurant's new, and then but over time you won't be new anymore. So you get a lot of folks that come in because you're new and because they know that your group has done good stuff. Over time, particularly in a market like Charleston, where there are always places opening like that, is it what is the formula to sustain the business and get people coming back, build regular customers? Does it ultimately come down to just consistent food, consistent service? I mean, just kind of nailing the basics every day, day in and day out. Do you guys talk about that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. Consistency is certainly, I would say, a predominant factor in keeping regulars and in building clientele. I would say a lot of it also it's kind of same thing, but being open to change is a big factor, and always staying up to date with the trends that are happening in the restaurant industry and not kind of letting ourselves lag behind in that regard. Whether that's staff culture, whether that's wine trends or beverage trends or food trends, listening to our customers, not necessarily one individual's likes and dislikes, but if we see trends that everyone is hating a dish, well maybe we change that dish. If we see that everyone is loving a certain cocktail, maybe we'll probably be keeping that cocktail. Maybe we'll even raise it $1 and see if anybody notices. But it's definitely consistency is a huge part of it. We treat every day as if it's our first day and having to nail it as if it's our first time. That's something that we kind of really grind into our staff, and just making sure that that every little detail is met. It's the small little extra steps that you take when it comes to the service, I think, and the consistency of your kitchen that have a lot to do with it. So those, steps of service might have to do with just folding a linen when someone gets up to walk to the bathroom, to never letting a water glass go empty, open handing your guest. It's always those little details to me that are more subconscious than anything else, that the guest really views as like an overall experience of, wow, that was really incredible. That service was on point. They were there when they needed to be, not there when they didn't. And the food was, just as good, if not better than the last time I had it.
Yeah, nailing those little things like that and just making it. Some of those things, like you said, is subconscious. The guest doesn't even fully recognize what happened, but they just know that the experience overall was really
Right.
great. They'd like to repeat it. Okay, so well, as a GM, man, do you have do you have like sort of an overriding philosophy of how you manage and lead people?
Yeah, I've learned a lot from Brooks Wrights, who's the owner of one of the main owners of the three restaurants, and he's been a fantastic mentor to me. But I think being open to hearing people, but always being in control, is a big aspect of, I guess, in your terms, what would be my formula. And yeah, so just making sure that I am always, above the rest. I never expected any of my staff to do anything that they haven't seen me do or that they know I wouldn't do, and just being there for them when they're needed. And that doesn't mean doing their job for them. I think there's a big difference. To see a dirty table and to just go and help clean it up, to me, isn't really doing any good. It's removing me from doing my job. I know that I have servers and server assistants to do that job. But if I see my server assistants working hard and my servers, providing great service at their table, and we need that table turned for another guest, you bet your butt I'm over there busting that table and getting my hands dirty. And I think that resonates really well with the staff. And I think just finding a connection with everyone resonates really well with everyone, to just create that some sort of, even if it's just, something that you grew up doing that was kind of similar, or asking them how their day off was, and finding some sort of small connection to just let them know that you care, really goes a long way. And that allows them to respect you a lot more when you do ask something of them.
100%, man, for sure. You're leading by example. It's a great way to build respect. And plus, you started, like you said, a couple weeks before your 16th birthday, bussing tables. So you started at the bottom. You have a lot of credibility. You've kind of done everything. I mean, a lot of folks come out of, maybe they go to, go to hospitality and school, or maybe they go to culinary school or whatever. And I hear oftentimes folks come out and they kind of expect, to quickly rise up the ranks or have start with a higher position. But I feel like starting at the bottom a lot of times is really valuable, because it helps you really understand every aspect of the business and be able to empathize and relate to people that are doing those jobs. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, based on my degree, I do believe that, to be a manager and to, it's certainly a resume builder to help with that, but certainly experience in this industry is, I think it's pretty obvious that it's a number one factor. And, it's certainly about who you know and your connections that you've made. And I would say what I did pull from my degree that was really helpful, though, is certainly the business side of things, being able to look at a profit and loss report and income statements and, know what I'm looking at. And, I would say that made me a lot more comfortable when it came to costing items out, and I didn't really need that education from restaurant experience. I had that from schooling, so I'm very thankful for that. But I think, with regards to the experience in the restaurants, certainly it makes you a better human being, in my opinion. It makes you gain people skills and makes you appreciate the little details in life. If you've ever cleaned a grease trap before by hand, you kind of gain an appreciation for every person working in a dish pit, or every person that has to do that job. And I think it's about knowing what everyone's going through, and that's from your dishwasher to your guest, all the way from back to front. So I think it's certainly important to have the experience. And if it was my world, I think everybody would probably work in a restaurant for a year or two out of their entire life. And that would almost be mandated in some way, shape, or form.
Amen, brother. Man, I got to tell you, so I've got 3 kids. I'm a little older than you, and I've got 3 kids. My oldest is 14 now. And I actually wrote a blog post a year ago or so about why I want all my kids to work in restaurants. No matter what they're going to
Sure.
do one day, I want them all to work in a restaurant. I'm completely on board with that. And you learn to empathize. You also learn just hard work and balancing a lot of stuff at once and dealing with a lot of people at once, both on your team and your customers and your
Absolutely.
managers. I mean, it's like if you can be successful in a restaurant, God, you are really you're setting yourself up to be successful in a lot of things, because it is a really challenging thing. Like what you do, man, I got to tell you, I tip my hat. I mean, being a GM of a restaurant in Charleston, a new place like that, like you've got, I mean, we could probably talk for hours on all the things that you're on your plate and the things that you have to do and balance. So it's an incredible skill set to be able to do that and to do it well, and especially to do it in a competitive town like you have. So I really
Thank you.
commend that, man. Oh yeah, dude. Absolutely. I mean, I'm honest, seriously, man. I very sincerely believe that. So, well, look, listen, I told you I'd probably take about 20 minutes of your time, and that's what I've taken. So I'm going to let you roll. But Adam, I really appreciate it a lot, and we're stoked to serve y'all. We love serving just badass places like y'all have, and just appreciate it. And I thank you for taking the time to do this.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure.
Good deal, man. Have a good one, and anytime I can do anything for you, just let me know.
Thanks so much, Will.
All right,
Do the
take
same.
care, man. See you.
All right.